strike cotton wadding, hitting no dense object, can look like that. If the bullet, second from the right, breaking one rib of a goat, looks like a different missile, is it? But no, that's its deformity from striking a rib of a goat. And a bullet at the far right that broke a radius in a cadaver can look like that. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can there be any doubt, any hesitation on your part whatsoever that a bullet that breaks both a rib and a radius can look like Commission Exhibit 399, the far left? The far left is the hero of the Warren Commission report. That is the magic bullet. There you have it. This was their experiment. I participated with other people in reproducing these, and Dr. John Nickel, a pathologist in Kansas many years ago, he produced it. Everybody has gotten the same results. And of course, the government will not reproduce this. They will not undertake, again, any kind of test of this nature, because they can't. This is the 26-volume set. When I was contacted by the American Academy of President Program Chairman in late '64 and asked to represent the pathology section at the annual meeting in February '65 in discussing the Warren Commission report, which had come out in the fall of '64, I went to our Carnegie Library, and they already had the 26 volumes. And I want you to know, when you begin to think of how the government has handled this in such a deceitful, manipulative fashion, if it weren't so serious, it would be almost laughable. They put out these 26 volumes with no index. One woman, Sylvia Marr, M-E-A-G-H-E-R, excellent book, Accessories After the Fact. One woman, a single woman living in Manhattan, we became good friends, working at the UN. Sylvia Marr, this is pre-computer days. She put together an index which is still used today. But the government could not find the competent individuals to make an index for 26 volumes. And that was just part and parcel of their continuing deceitful cover-up. Let me tell you, in 1972, when I was the first non-government forensic pathologist given access to the autopsy materials at the National Archives, there's a cockamamie agreement in April of '65 that they said was promulgated by Jacqueline Kennedy that gave full control and ownership of all the autopsy materials, including John Connolly's clothing, the x-rays and the bullets and the fragments and the rifle. All of that belonged to Jacqueline Kennedy. Yeah, like she really wanted to have that in her home, right? You can just picture that. That's April of '65. October of '66, they go in and do an inventory. And guess what? Not only some radiographs, x-rays, not only some microscopic tissue slides, but the metal box, which contained the brain, as of April '65, was no longer there. And that was front page story with Fred Graham in the New York Times in August of '72, when I came out and he had the exclusive interview because he had helped me gain access to the New York Times, which is a long story. Let me tell you about the brain. You got to understand this. I don't mean the least bit crude to be the least bit crude and insensitive, but there's no better analogy I can give you than this. A fresh brain has the viscosity, has the consistency of a well-done soft-boiled egg. And if you try to cut it, you can't do it. You can't cut a soft-boiled egg and have pieces that you can juxtapose one against the other. And so what you do in pathology, when you have a brain that needs to be examined, whether it's for brain tumor or other injuries, or specifically for gunshot wounds, you place it in formalin. That's the fixative solution. And it hardens in 2 weeks, and it assumes the consistency of a hard-boiled egg. And again, I repeat, I'm not trying to be the least bit flippant here, but just picture then the hard-boiled egg that you slice from one end to the other, from one side to the other, and you lay it out. That's the way you handle it. And that would show you the trajectory of the bullets that go through the brain. Look at the autopsy report. Read the autopsy report. And this is what it says when they went back 2 weeks later on December 7th. Coronal sections, that's side to side, coronal sections of the brain are not made in order to preserve the specimen. Preserve the specimen, right? They were going to give it to Jacqueline Kennedy to place on the mantelpiece so she could have it there to share with her kids and other family members in the years ahead, to preserve the specimen. To this day, and don't let anybody BS you on this, there has been no accounting for that at all. The people say, the Warren Christian people, that, well, the Kennedy family took it and they buried it and so on. You've never heard that? Ask anybody to show you any memorandum, any statement, even one that suggests that no such thing exists. The Kennedys would certainly have had every right to do that as a matter of their religiosity, whatever. Nobody has ever made that statement. That brain was not examined, because if it had been examined, it would have shown that Kennedy was struck and a shot fired from behind the on the grassy knoll behind the picket. The bottom line, folks, is this. From a forensic pathology standpoint, consider everything that I have shown and discussed with you. The movement of the body, the positions of the bodies of Kennedy and Connolly prior to and during and immediately following the shooting. Consider the pictures that I have shown you involving the bullet and the bullet fragments. Keep all of that in mind. The bottom line here is that you have two shooters. There is no question in my mind that one is from the right side. That shooter was behind the picket fence on the grassy knoll. The shot from the rear, arguably Texas School Book Depository, Dell Tech's building, I think one of the two, and you can line up a trajectory from either one. I personally do not believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was a shooter. But what I say is, to the people that would argue, you want Oswald as a shooter? Here, take him as a shooter. My involvement in Kennedy now for these last 55 years is not based upon my desire to posthumously exonerate Lee Harvey Oswald. I really don't give a damn about Oswald in that sense. I mean, I care about justice. I certainly do. And the man was killed in a very unjust act. I care about that. But I mean, that's not my purpose. The purpose is to show that there were two shooters. And what that means, my friends, is that there was a plot, there was a conspiracy. And you think about what was going on in the world at that time with the CIA running the show and doing whatever they wanted to, the debacle of the Bay of Pigs, etc. They were looking at 5 more years, those people who